you're going to have troubles on the run, okay? 112 miles is a hell of a long way to go without having to pee. I don't care how fast you ride it. 5 hours. If you think about it, I thought about this yesterday. I think I peed like 10 times yesterday. I was hydrating myself on the plane, you know? And if you go like 5 hours without peeing when you're actually racing, not good, okay? So be mindful of that when you're out there. I tell people in general, you want to be drinking at least every 10 minutes. Whatever your formula is, your food, drink, ratio, whatever it is, at least every 10 minutes you got to be taking something in, okay? So we're out there, you've got the A stations down. We'll talk to you about pacing. The first 90 minutes is JRA, and then you're steady. Once you kind of settle into your day, racing an Ironman Florida is kind of boring, okay? Like someone said yesterday at the team dinner, they saw a guy riding down the road like this. That would be like the best Ironman picture ever, right? Especially for Florida. There's really nothing to break up your day. That's why everyone talks about draft packs, because there's nothing that separates people out. You do like Placid, you do Coeur d'Alene. There's hills at mile 5 or mile 20 that really blow that race open and make it a lot easier for people to kind of be in a good spot. But in this race, you know, Timmy, who really should be biking 18, can hang out with Lars, who's biking 21.5 for 80 or 90 miles if he really tried to. Because that's just the way the dynamics work. So let's talk a little bit about these dynamics, okay? And to be clear, I am not advocating drafting and cheating on race day. But there's a dynamic in being in a course like this where there are people around you riding a faster speed that if you find yourself behind them, even legally behind them, more than 4 lengths behind them on the bike, you will still have a material advantage on race day. When you have this many people riding, it's easy to say, well, you know, Scott, if you pass me, I got to drop back 5 lengths and go around. But you try and do that on race day with this many people, and you're like, I'm going to be the good guy. I'm going to drop back, right? Well, then someone else passes you. I got to drop back. I got to drop back. All I'm doing is dropping back. I'm just dropping back, exactly. You're like, how do I get back to transition? This is ridiculous. Your family's like, you idiots. So here's what I tell people. There's the rules, and then there's how those rules play out. The reason why they want you to back out of the back is they don't want you to jump on that person's wheel and slingshot yourself around them, taking advantage of that instant draft. Instead of taking advantage of that instant draft, if someone pulls over in front of you and decides to slow down slower than you were going before, even if they go at the same speed, just because you're behind them means it's far easier for you to go now. Anyone with a power meter knows this. What I tell people is just drift back and start drifting out. If you want to make that pass again, start drifting out. Okay, let your bike do the talking to the people behind you. You're just going to kind of come out a little bit, and when you're ready, you're going to go around that person. If they're going slower than you, okay? If you're riding 20 miles an hour, and Joey comes in front of you and starts riding 20 miles an hour, and he's sitting right in front of you, and you can back up 4 lengths behind Joey and still ride 20 miles an hour and not work as hard, you're winning. Winning. That is awesome because you are working far less, you are legal, and you are going to have an awesome run on this course, okay? You can be legal behind someone else. Being legal is legal. I think people have some sort of, people sort of fall on either side of that line, you know, like everyone says I don't draft. Well, like I said at dinner last night, you know, there's 15% of people here who are going to follow that rule to the letter, and they'll end up back in transition. Then there's like 80% of people who are like, you know, they kind of get it, right? Like I told you about the drift out thing. It's kind of like there's that stop sign in the middle of your town where you can see for miles and there's no one there. So you slow down, but you don't actually come to a complete stop and go again. You kind of slow down. Well, then there's 5% of the people out there who are like, I am drafting. I am totally drafting tomorrow, and I'm going to freaking go 4:45. I am going to draft tomorrow. I'm going to have my fast time out. There are those people out there, okay? Again, it's not your job to educate those people. Let them have their race. You do your thing. When marshals are looking at you on the bike, what they're looking for is intent, okay? I've been a marshal, and what they're looking for is intent. So if the guy in front of you or the girl in front of you goes left and you go left, and they go right and you go right, and they slow down, you slow down, they speed up, you speed up, they see all that kind of action going on, they're going to nail you, okay? Because you're trying to do something, all right? But if someone comes in front of you and you're riding legal and a marshal comes up and you're like, this is kind of, I don't want to get in trouble, do something else. Eat, drink, sit up. Make it look like you're not trying to sit on that person's wheel. But you're legal. I'm just saying, make it very clear that you're not trying to game the system, okay? If you find yourself locked in a group of people and you can't get out, and the marshal comes up and you're like, they're going to just nail all 40 of us right now, like just a big red card for all of you. You know, make it clear that you're kind of frustrated. Again, sit up, coast, whatever it is. In a group of 30 people, you can coast at like 18 miles an hour. And just like, be like, you know, try and get out of it. What you don't want to do, what you absolutely don't want to do, is try and get out and then hammer to the front of that 30-person group, okay? Because I've seen that power file. If you look down at your power meter and you're riding like 500 watts, which is what like Lance does for an hour, right? You do that for even 30 seconds on your race day, game over. You just can't do it, okay? There's a reason why your coach doesn't have you do 30 minutes on, 30 minutes off, killer intervals, and then ride 6 hours. Because it makes the last hour terrible. And then, oh, the marathon, forget about it. You cannot pass those people, because the minute you finally get up to the front guy and you give him that dirty look, you know, number 37 dirty look, because you've been giving it to everybody else. I'll show you. And you pull over, and then it's whee, and they all go by you again, right? You may find yourself doing this in spite of what I've just said to you. If a group goes by you and they all kind of pull in, or you want to get on the back of a group, sit on the back of a group. Be legal. Ride back there. It's a free ride. You are legal. You can eat and drink and take care of yourself. It's not going to last forever, because at some point on the day, even those people who are overachieving, they're going to start to fall apart, okay? It happens about mile 70, mile 80 here. Like I said, it happens mile 30, other race, about mile 70, mile 80 here. You start heading back in. The winds are different now. You've had that section on the out and back with the tarmac road where you're like, gut gunk, gut gunk, gut gunk. You're like, my junk. It hurts. This is terrible. Why do I do Ironman? My elbows hurt. This is terrible. There goes my bottle. Where are my friends? Right? You're totally out there. That's all you can think about. I'm sorry for putting that in your head right now. So you finally are starting to come back in, and this is where the race starts to break up. And if you pace yourself well and you're steady and you're still able to stay aero and you're on your numbers, you will start passing people. They will start going backwards for no ostensible reason, and you are going past them, okay? Your goal is to have a really strong last hour on the bike, and strong is just defined as being very steady. You know, if the winds are kind of blowing this way, you're going to have a good last 10 miles on this bike, because they're blowing you back in this way, okay? If the winds are going the other way, that's going to be a very ugly day, okay? I've seen people hit mile 100 at 5 hours, and they're like, hey, 5:30, this is 5:36, this is awesome, you know? And then they come in at 5:52. That went 16 minutes. We used 10 miles, 16 minutes. What happened to you? It's just a wind, okay? Again, the road is bad out here, everything. So be smart and understand the winds around you. But know that at the end of the day, things will start to blow apart. To make sure you're in a good place in those last 20 miles, what do? Feed cycle, drink cycle. You got to get those things nailed early. On a cold day, you're apt not to eat and drink. Especially when you're surrounded by all these other Ricky Racer people, you're going to be thinking about other stuff. You're going to look down at your bottle and be like, huh, it's here. It's supposed to be here. What do I do? Right? You know? You're going to shotgun it. So be on that early, because you can't make up those calories later, right? It's a numbers game. You can jam it in your stomach, but you're gonna have to slow down to absorb it, which you don't want to do, which most people are not willing to do. I'll get more of slowing down later. So the other key thing on the Ironman bike course here in Florida is stand up. You obviously want to stand up. Usually I'm saying don't waste your watts on a hilly course, but Ironman Florida, every 30 minutes, I recommend shifting 2 or 3 gears harder, getting out of your saddle for 10 revs, 20 revs. Just move the back a little bit. The Kegel exercises, whatever the ladies do. Get some blood flow going down there, okay? And then get back down in the saddle. When you hit special needs, don't be that person who goes through special needs thinking you're George Hincapie, okay? Like trying to put it on your head or whatever. When you roll up to special needs, there'll be a person with a microphone, with a walkie-talkie and like binoculars. Help that person out by telling them your number, right? 532, they can't read it. 532. They tell up there, when you get up to the special needs area, you're just screaming, 532, 532, and someone will wave a bag or their hand. You ride up to that person, you say, hey, can you help me out? They'll be like, sure. Okay, open up the bag. They open up the bag, and you take what you need, you give them what you don't need, you do all that stuff, crack your back, touch your toes, touch your other toe, like this, shake it out, and then ride. And for the next 30 minutes, you will feel like you haven't been riding your bike for 60 miles. Okay, right? Because in Ironman Florida, there is no stop, okay? When I did Ironman Florida in 01, it was the first time I'd ever ridden a bike without stopping. I didn't need special needs. Come on. So I rode 112 miles nonstop in the aero position. I got back, I did my shoe thing, and I was like, okay, here we go. Get my leg. I couldn't get my leg over my seat, So I got into transition. I somehow got off my bicycle. And I went to put my shoes on. I couldn't bend over. My back had totally locked up, because I'd never ridden for 5 hours and 38 minutes in the aero position straight before. My back was totally locked up, and it impacted the rest of my day. Okay, so stretch on the bike, take care of yourself. All you're doing those times is just gauging your awareness, seeing how you feel. Because if your back feels tight at mile 20, people, it's not going to get better by mile 80. It doesn't just go away. you got to fix it. Okay, you got to fix that. You have to do something differently. So that's part of the toolkit of handling problems. I'll get more into handling problems later. So that is the bike. Your goal is to be as steady, easy as you can the first 90 minutes within reason, steady as you can for the bulk of your race, and then really solid for the last hour. If you can execute a bike like that, you're in a great place for the run. Okay? Because in Endurance Nation, there's no such thing as a good bike followed by a bad run. There'll be plenty of dudes out there walking 3, 4 abreast, brand new BFFs,